Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski. Welcome to my Halloween event investment guide for 2025. Now, keep in mind, everything I am saying here today is not direct financial advice. Your decisions are your own responsibility. And if you lose money, it is not my fault. And if you make money, it is not responsible due to me. Every single, way your money goes is all due to your actions at the end of the day and a fair bit of RNG and luck, right? Investments are your own decisions at the end of the day, and I cannot change that. I am just here to talk about what I have seen happen historically in PokeMMO and what I personally plan to do and how I want to attack investments heading into this Halloween season. Now, let's just go ahead and cover some of the basics. First things first. I highly recommend that if you plan to make investments in PokeMMO, my general rule of thumb is that you plan to play the game for at least 2 more years from when you make your investing point. It's not always the case. Obviously, the best investments are the one that you can, buy and then 3 or 6 months later go ahead and sell off for like a really nice 20% or higher profit. The problem is that does not always happen. That's actually very, very rare and kind of the outliers, right? If you are making an investment in PokeMMO, you have to be willing to hold it, be patient, and sit on it for a very long time. This is a patient man's game. You really don't want to be that player that makes an investment during the Halloween event only to have the Christmas event roll around and then get super excited at all that new stuff to sell your Halloween investments to buy the new Christmas investments, because of course you got to get the new stuff. And then when the Lunar New Year event rolls around, well, that stuff's even cooler. Well, now you got to sell your Christmas investments to buy the Lunar New Year stuff, and you're just making no money. You're losing money along the way through listing fees, if not just losing hard Pokeyen. I always recommend walking into event season overall with a plan, and I've tried to encourage that, but we're a little bit past that at this point. I try to save up around 30 million Pokeyen minimum heading into event season. That is on the higher end, like that, or I mean, that's on like the medium end. You don't need that amount, but I think having 10 mil to invest in one event is probably the minimum in my opinion. But obviously, once again, these are just my thoughts and opinions. Please do whatever works best for you. If you make money, you make money. What do I know? All right, so we've gotten the patience game out of the way. You have to be willing to wait at least 2 years, in my personal opinion, but you do want to go ahead and sell stuff off if you do have good, good profits. And when to sell stuff off, that's going to be all up to you. Okay, it's a tough one to talk about. Now, I do want to talk about the 2 different types. There's a very broad categories. The 2 different types of investments. Generally, I think that there are 2 different broad categories. There is sealed product, which consists of goodie bags, pumpkin goodie bags. In this event specifically, you have the Halloween mystery box, which is a new sealed product. I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Wink, wink. Definitely keep an eye out for this. It's actually the only way to get the ultra rare deer skull vanity, which is currently 16 million Pokeyen, which is holding its value the most out of all the ultra rare vanities. So just keep an eye on those. And then you also have mysterious balls. Now, I always talk about mysterious balls is the most. I have personally made the most money on my account. I have somewhere around a 600 million Pokeyen plus net worth. Most of my money is actually in investments. I have made the most Pokeyen. I have a bunch of great balls from 2023. I have a bunch of lucky red envelopes, things like that, which actually have gone down a bit in price over this event. But we'll talk about that in my. I'll do a strict video where I just go over what I am buying specifically in this event. But to talk more general stuff, I wanted to do this. I have personally made some of the most money on my account, some of the best investments through mysterious balls. You just never can discredit how willing shiny hunters may be to spend crazy amounts of Pokeyen to have that shiny chance. Shinies are very, very respected and very valued in PokeMMO, so it's just there's a certain level of dedication when it comes to shunters who are willing to do things that many players are not. The mysterious balls, if you don't know, lower that shiny rate in PokeMMO down to 1 in 6,000. At least these ones specifically do. So that's your sealed product. It's things that contain other things. Think of it as buying sealed product in trading cards, like buying like Magic the Gathering packs or Pokemon packs. That's your safe investments. Those usually do pretty well. And here's some quick bullet points about sealed product. They're all kind of the same. They all kind of come down to just sealed product being the safe, consistent investment most of the time, but it's not guaranteed. No investment is ever guaranteed, right? So sealed product is safer and you still get really decent ROIs. If you don't know, ROI is just return on investment. So it's just like if I spend 10 million Pokeyen on mysterious balls, I may get back, 20% would be what, 12 mil? I may get back, 12 mil. So that's like it's a 20% return. You made 2 million Pokeyen on top of the 10 million you put in, if that makes sense. So that'd be a 20% ROI, a return on investment. Now 20 to 60% is what I'm guesstimating the average is over my, years of experience in PokeMMO. I would say 20 to 60% is the average. You can go, sometimes things go undervalued. And this is also assuming that you buy at the bottom out price. And that's where a lot of this difficulty comes in. Where do we think pumpkin goodie bags will bottom out at, right? Will they continue going down? They're already down to 18K, which is a historic low. Will they go down to 16K, 15K? Will they shoot back? Like, no one knows. No one knows the answers to the market. You have to just make the best guesstimates you can with the best knowledge that you have. So everyone is trying to time the market and find out where that bottom out price is, and that's going to help you make the best investment. And that just comes down to game knowledge and kind of just factoring in as many factors as you can and just taking a little bit of a gamble. There's lots of competition when it comes to these sealed product investments. Lots of people know that these investments are safe and consistent most of the time. So it's going to be harder to sell stuff, buy stuff at good times, and can just take a lot of time. And also it lowers the ROI. When there's more competition, it lowers the ROI. There's less pie. You know, if everybody's trying to have a piece of pie, it shrinks the pie much more quickly. Everyone's getting a smaller slice, right? If that makes sense. And then timing matters a lot. We talked about that a little bit. And then it requires patience and long-term play, like I already talked about previously with a 2-year investment, 2-year guide. So that's your sealed product. Now you have your riskier investments, your individual items and or vanities. Maybe you really think the Froggy is underpriced. You know, you really think the Froggy could go crazy. It's currently around 300,000 Pokeyen. It's a really cute vanity. You have to understand, how are these brought into the game? Okay, they're brought into the game via, people turning in swarms. How many people are doing swarms this year? You got to ask yourself these questions. There's 123 in stock right now. Is that a large amount, a small amount? How many people are really, doing that? Let's check the other vanity. Let's start to compare things. You have the Cyclops mask, which is, very, very cheap. It's only 6,000 Pokeyen. What if I bought like 20 Cyclops masks? Would that be a good investment? There are 142 of those in stock. That's compared to the Froggy mask. That's a pretty like low stock. If there's only 129 Froggies and those are 300K, and this is 6K, does that mean Cyclops mask like potentially has an opportunity? Like, there's just so many factors. Once again, nobody knows. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the answers. It's more about making the best guesstimations based off the resources and information that you do have. So individual items and vanities are really, really risky, but they can have insane ROIs. Look at things like the White Rabbit plush. This was a vanity that was really, I think around 12 mil or so during the event, maybe if not even cheaper, and now it is 50 million Pokeyen. There are certain vanities like this that just have skyrocketed in value because they're very, very beloved in the community. There's only 9 of these in stock on the market. Another good example that used to be one of the biggest examples of this is the Golden Dragon Mask. The Golden Dragon Mask was an RP vanity, which means it was actually around 4 mil Pokeyen when it came out at a static price tied to RP. And there was a point where this vanity was 30 million Pokeyen. How the mighty have fallen. It's sometimes things go up, then they go back down. It's just markets, right? It all comes down to supply and demand. How many Golden Dragon Masks are in the game and how many players want to wear them? And you have to factor in when new vanities come out. That's a big one we've been experiencing a lot in PokeMMO. There's only one vanity slot per thing, right? You can't have 2 hats on at once. You can own 2 hats, but you can't wear 2 hats, right? So the slot that something is in, and then how much competing competition is a really valuable thing you have to ask yourself. Like, I really like the new what's it called, the strange tentacle. That's what I was thinking of. I really like these new strange tentacles, right? But how many backslot items are in Pokemon? There are so many. Backslot might be one of the most competitive, and you can go sort on the GTL cosmetics and then go to back items, and you can straight up, so let's get rid of this, you can sort. Back item is one of the most like popular items, one of the coolest items in PokeMMO. There's 7 different pages of back vanities in PokeMMO. So you have to ask yourself, would someone want to wear the strange tentacles over the blue flaming wings, or over the orange, or over the shadow cape, or over the, all these different things? They have to kind of compete against each other for a slot, even though they all do different things and go along with different outfits. And timing matters even more for this kind of investment, because you really have to make sure you get that bottom out to get that insane ROI of getting up to like 1,000%. I've seen things 10 times in price, but I've also seen things absolutely tank 10 times in price. One of the classic examples in PokeMMO was the Mage's Staff. Everybody and their grandmother thought the Mage's Staff was an amazing item. It was one of the coolest backslot vanities we had seen at the time back in 2021. And it was also one of the first items labeled ultra rare event item when that was like coming out. However, as you can tell, this was an 8 million Pokeyen vanity during the time of the event. It is now 580,000 Pokeyen. Oh, how the Mage's Staff has fallen. It's an investment that most people got wrong. Most people thought it was going to do well. It looked really cool for the time. Obviously, you look at it now, and it's kind of simple. And it's kind of just, but we just didn't have as many options back then. So as you can see, the risk is way higher when it comes to individual items, vanities, things like that. And it's way more unpredictable. That height is there, but the low is also there. Just keep that in mind. And then now a positive thing is, if you really like a vanity, whether you care, maybe you like for example, I really like the tentacles, right? If I buy this for 1.6 mil and it never takes off as an investment, I'm probably okay with that. I'm okay with just owning this vanity for like a 1.6 mil price tag. That's comfortable to me. So if you just like a vanity and you're like, you know what, maybe it could also be an investment one day, maybe one day I'll sell it, that's a great way to, I think, dip your toes into some of these individual items. All right, that's the main stuff I wanted to cover, but there are a few extra little tips I want to go ahead and throw in there. Number one, I've already been doing it throughout the making of this video, but please use the GTL's new tools. These are new. Being able to click this and see like how many of an item are in stock on the GTL, how many, you know, what the price is, look at the history of the item. This is an amazing resource. If you want to take investing in PokeMMO seriously, you better be checking the price history of an item. You better be checking the supply, the stock every single day. How much is the supply changing? If you really keep track of things every single day, and you check, like, you know, right now there's 12,939, check tomorrow, you might be able to see like how many are actually selling. You might be able to, it's not going to be exactly, because more are going to be being listed, but the more you look at it, the more whole picture you're going to have of what the market is moving like. And also just being involved in the community and talking to people, being in a team, talking to, you know, Discord chats, stream chats, content creators, whoever, whether it's me or please go watch somebody else, you know, whoever it may be, right? Just hang out in the community to be involved and kind of hear those sentiments. Now, that is anecdotal. Don't take that as, oh, my whole team is buying the tentacles, that's why it's going to be like a super in-demand item. Like, that's just your anecdotal experience. That is not data, but it's something. It's better than nothing is kind of the best thing to say, because we don't really have great data on how many, I guess. Well, wait a minute. We might have better data than what I remember. Let's go check out PokeMMO Hub. PokeMMO Hub is a fantastic website and resource where players used to go to check the price history on items before it was available in-game on PokeMMO. Especially older items that may not have their full history listed over on the GTL, you can go check a very long period what's been going on with like Mysterious Great Ball 2023s, for example. We can see all the way back to, I believe, January 2024 with Mysterious Great Balls over on PokeMMO Hub. We can see that they were as low as 20,000 Pokeyen at a point, and they were at about 100k before the event season kicked off, and then dropped off a bit as people are selling off their previous investments, like we already talked about earlier in the video, down to 60k. You can also create investments and track investments using PokeMMO Hub, which I definitely recommend if you want to take investing seriously. It's pretty simple. All you need to do is write down the item quantity, so how many Mysterious Great Balls you bought, for example, and then the average price you got them at, and then go ahead and click save. I already made this. This is just a test example. This is not a real investment that I made, but just an example for the video. You can go ahead and go over to all investments, and you can straight up see track your progress on how much Pokeyen you spent on the investments, how much you have in total, and how much you gained. Once again, this is an extremely crucial. If you want to take investing seriously in PokeMMO, definitely track your stuff on over on PokeMMO Hub. It's going to save you so much time and stress, and really recall all those numbers for you. Probably shouldn't have to say this, but I am not sponsored by them. It's just a good resource. I find whenever I don't say stuff like that, people always assume I'm sponsored, just because I'm trying to shout out a good resource that people should be using. And then continuing to use PokeMMO Hub, I actually want to talk about one more thing really quick, and that is the fact that do not sleep on older items that tank in new events. These can be really good investments. Not always, but they can be really good investments, because often I find it is people who are panic dumping, panic selling their investments at a very terrible time, just trying to get as much Pokeyen as possible to be able to do the event and have fun. So usually, in my opinion, it's usually people panic selling. You can see lucky red envelopes are an item that was, you know, all the way back in February of this year. The recent lucky red envelopes, they were 44k throughout the event. They rose up to 60,000 Pokeyen, up to 70,000 Pokeyen, and held at a really crazy price of 70,000 Pokeyen for quite a while, and have just tanked all the way down to 36,000 Pokeyen. And I don't think this is a good representation. Like, I think this sort of product should be worth more, and I'll show you why. This is the sealed product that contains the coiled snake vanity, which is currently going for 21 million Pokeyen, which is a pretty darn expensive sealed product and a big chase item from the last Lunar New Year event, from the last event season. Do not sleep on old sealed product. I've also made some really good Pokeyen reinvesting in things I've already invested into. I have done this multiple times with Mysterious Great Balls, where every single time an event season rolls around, people dump some of their investments. I buy them back up, increase my stock, increase my capital, and then sell them off at more fortunate times, like in the middle of the summertime or something like that. Generally, you want to make all of your investments during event seasons and sell them all during the summertime, or even in those few, like 3 months or so leading up until the fall. It honestly brings up a good point that I have. I kind of have a problem with holding on to my investments for too long. It's something I need to work on personally. Every single investor should have a massive positive, something they're really good at. Like, I'm really good at timing the market, and then I'm really bad at actually selling my investments and letting go of those things. So everybody should have positives and negatives, and you got to find what positives and negatives you have as an investor. All right, but I believe that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully this guide helps you guys to some extent, and I hope you can make some really good investments this year. The only thing I didn't get to is the timing, which is probably one of the most important questions people like to have answered, but I already have a video on that. It's actually called PokeMMO Event Economics 101. So if you're interested in seeing the timing and having this beast of a graph explained to you like it makes any sense, you can go check out that video. It should be linked in the description. But at the end of the day, the timing of when to buy something and when to sell something is the thing I really can't give you the answer for. It really comes down to just your own personal judgment calls and try to do the best you can do. So hopefully this was helpful. Like it if it was, dislike if not, and subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon videos every single day. Follow me on Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord's down below if you're interested in that. If you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, the content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal and Venmo donations do help me out a ton. But for now, I'll see you guys later. Peace, Areno. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to take this time to say thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports my channel. Your names are all listed here. You make it possible for me to make helpful and mildly entertaining content for the game that I love and make it available for free for everyone to enjoy. Thank you so much for allowing me to even be here.